Kutesa, 65 years, who was one of the 14 generals retired earlier this month. Senior UPDF officers described Kutesa as a comrade who will forever be remembered.
With professionalism, dedication, passion, and excellent work ethics, he was a very reliable nationalist and Pan-Africanist. The departed general has therefore been instrumental in the transformation of our forces and the restoration of peace and security in the country. The UPDF is saddened by the loss of such a senior and professional cadre whose input was still much needed.
So we have shared a lot of things in common. And at a family level, my daughter was reminding me that she was a flower girl for them when at Diana Museveni. So I have known them at that level closely.
Gun salute and social distancing observed during the burial ceremony. Wife and children described the decorated general as a loving man.
There's a certain concept he talked about. He said, he talked about it. He said there are people who dedicate themselves to do something for their community, to be pillars, and he said, and lots of people benefit.
You have any pain every morning? No, I want to go home. I don't know what. But he never felt any pain. He never lacked anything. He was just in his usual joking mood until he passed on. And went very fast the way he lived his life. Went very fast and crossed into the other world. So I am thankful to God. I'm thankful to all of you people. I want to thank all of you who have come, who have contributed your contributions.
General Pecos Kutesa's comrade hailed him as a true patriot that the country has lost.
Nimsima munonga dora abukwetegereza todora weka kureka family yanyibona mwetegereza okundu nawe nangwe nanyijo ni following abana bino kukira munonga juni yogo na.
He is the victor of the revolution. Pecos has died a satisfied man for leaving Uganda, which we sang and wished and worked and sacrificed for.
Lieutenant General Pecos Kutesa, whose army number is RO26, joined the rebellion in 1979 from Masakasinia Secondary School and joined the NRA in 1981. Kutesa's chance to undergo compulsory military training came after the fall of Idi Amin's regime that forcefully triggered his military career. At a youthful age, he joined the National Leadership Academy in Monduli, Tanzania for cadet military training after the fall of Amin's government in 1979. Upon completion of the cadet training, Kutesa joined Nakasongola Military Training School. In 1994, he was elected in a constituent assembly as a delegate for Kabula. He also represented the UPDF in the 10th Parliament. By the time of his death, he was the commander of the UPDF Center for Doctrine Development. Haruna Mutesa reporting in Kabula, Lyantonde district for UBC Tonight.
In another sad development, the medical report on the death of the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Paul Okech, has confirmed that he died of a blood clot. While reading the pathologist report, the spokesperson of police, Fred Enanga, said that General Okech sustained a fracture after falling from a seat a few weeks ago. Let's listen to what he had to say.
A team of 4 pathologists has confirmed that the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Paul Okech, died of blood clot.
This blood clot that had been carried into the lungs that managed to block the vessels in both lungs, leading to a shortage in breath and subsequent death. It was thus concluded as death arising out of natural causes.
Police spokesperson Freddie Nang says the blood clot that killed Lokech was as a result of a fracture sustained when he fell off a seat at the end of July 2021.
He was correcting was making correction at his home and stood on a chair which collapsed, and then he landed on the right ankle, and that is how the fracture was sustained.
Lokech has been under the care of an orthopedic surgeon at Ruby Medical Center.
They put a POP cast at the victim's leg and continued to manage him as an outpatient.
The casket containing the body of Paul Okech will on Wednesday 25th be taken to his home in Kitikifumba, Kira Division. Then on Thursday, he will be transported to his ancestral home in Padel District to be buried on Friday, 27th of August 2021.
The pallbearers, those who will be carrying the casket, are going to be UPDF Major Generals. The sword bearers are commissioners from the Uganda Police.
Lokech had served police for only 8 months.
DIG Major General Paul Lokech was among the best commanders in the police force, who bravely put his country first and took the risks to protect Ugandans.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police, who is also a senior military officer, is to be buried in Padel by Ibili village in Padel district with a full senior officer's honors, as is the normal. Abdul Nasir Lubrama, UBC News.
Members of Parliament from Acholi have urged government to accord Major General Paul Okech a state burial. The MP said that Lokech deserves a state burial because he contributed a lot towards peace and security, not only in Uganda but also many other African countries. The legislators made these remarks from General Lokech's residence at Buwate in Chira municipality.
Mourners, mainly relatives and friends, continue to condole with the family of Major General Paul Lokech in Buwate, Chira municipality. Patriotic and liturgical songs are being played all day long at the General's home since his body is still at the mortuary and Rachael Mass is slated for Thursday. Among the mourners at the residence were the members of Parliament from Acholi who, in speaking to UBC, urged government to offer a state burial for General Lokech due to his immense contribution towards keeping peace in African countries.
We are requesting the government to allow this to be a state burial because he is such a big person in this country. He has done a lot of traversing work that we cannot forget.
Hopeful that on Wednesday he will lie in state and we will give him the tribute that he really deserves, because he did not only serve Uganda, he served the world. He saved very many lives in Somalia, in Congo, and really in many, many places. So he deserves this tribute and he deserves to lay in state, really, just like any other Ugandan who has done great work for Uganda and for the world.
To other members of Parliament, Lokech was determined to reduce crime in Kampala, and his early departure is a big blow to the police.
I was so saddened because, as you all know, the recent work spearheaded by General Lokech was now trying to stabilize and pacify Kampala. The efforts he has put has been able to lead the police to make inroads into criminality.
The newly appointed Inspector of Government, Betty Namisango Kamia, praised the Lokech for being workaholic.
I had worked for a short time with him when he became Deputy IGP about security issues. And I found a person who was so professional, a person who picked all his calls. And if he didn't pick his call and found a missed call, he called back. And he dealt with your issue, and if he couldn't, he would think about and come back to you.
General Paul Lokech died on Saturday from his home at Buate in Chira municipality. And according to police, he will be buried on Friday at his ancestral home in Padei district in Acholi sub-region. Philip Aguta, UBC News, Buate, Chira municipality.
May God strengthen the deceased family. In other news, the Prime Minister has directed that residents displaced by water in Naviswera sub-county, Nakasongola district, be availed with blankets, bed nets and tarpaulins to support their welfare. The Prime Minister was on a fact-finding mission in Nakasongola district where over 1,000 people were affected by floods.
This is not a lake or a river. This is an area where thousands of people were settling, but this magnitude of floods affected most of them and relocated to Mone Camp. This is Mone Camp, situated in Nabiswera sub-county, Nakasongola district, where over 1,000 people were displaced by floods following a rise of Lake Choga water levels. Water submerged virtually everything, including electric poles, homesteads and plantations. This route was a road leading to Mone and Busone primary schools, but accessing the area now requires boats.
Mone P5 primary school, then Busone P7 primary school. Gonago atwalibwa amazi abana bafe abeva machi tuli mu corona naye bana abaguddewo tebalinawa balaga atenga twagala ku maintain codes zaffe ez'amasomero awamu n'amasomero okusigala nga gagenda mu maaso.
For now, locals conduct fishing as an economic activity to earn a living.
Maybe literally some cattle keeping and more people are doing it here.
All this were almost 3 kilometers inside was settlement for our people. So nature has reclaimed its territory. We have to respect nature. We all agreed in the cabinet that we have to respect nature. We are going to relocate these people, those ones who are in the other camp, to another area. I think we have no alternative but to buy land for these people.
Prime Minister Nabanja led technical teams from the Ministry of Health, Works and UNRWA to witness the reality of the outcry by residents who now demand relief support and compensation to uplift their welfare.
Na ye ate tutya timwizo kuba temwina masimu besingamba kola akanabanja nata singaka akasete bakakuwereza wano akaunga kwa wano ka 12 eri bakatuguza buwanana yes bakaleta ate oluusi ne kabulira mu masitowa neka tubona akasete yayo tipi
5 villages were affected by the floods, and access to safe water is now a health challenge. The available health center 4 looks dilapidated, but the Prime Minister has committed to address the health challenge. Premier Nabanja directed his team to effectively avail 500 tarpaulins, 500 blankets, 500 tents and 500 bed nets to the displaced population. She also gave 200 hose to the people of Nakasongola. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Nakasongola district.
Nabanja. Very interesting right there. More in the news tonight, the Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has advised teachers and learners aged 18 and above to be vaccinated before resumption of learning. Now, she says that reopening of institutions of learning before vaccination would be suicidal. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Today, I came to raise an alarm, really, for the teachers and the 8-year-olds, students of universities and other tertiary institutions. Why an alarm? because we have talked about vaccination and people don't take it seriously, and yet we all want educational institutions to open. So I wanted to remind everybody listening to me today that we want all the teachers and non-teaching staff who have anything to do with education and schools, universities, and other tertiary institutions to be vaccinated wherever vaccination is taking place. Everybody wants education to open up, and we also do. But we want you to understand that if we just open without having done anything since we locked down last time, since we closed schools and institutions of learning, then we will get the same problems we were getting when the schools were open. So that's why I thought that I'd add this announcement again and ask all of you listening to me, teachers, non-teaching staff, lecturers of universities and other tertiary institutions, to please make sure that you get vaccinated. Today, I discussed this problem of vaccination for our teachers with the Minister of Health, because I was saying that if the teachers go into the vaccination posts where there are so many crowds, they may also wait there, and at the end of the day, they fail to be vaccinated. And the Minister of Health did agree with me that we have to have another way of making sure that there is prioritization of making sure that teachers and students can be allowed to be vaccinated first wherever they go, wherever they go to the vaccination posts. But to make it even more possible for them, she agreed with me that they will now take the vaccination posts to the schools themselves and to universities where the teaching staff and the 80-year-olds can go and be vaccinated alone. That is to make sure that we can get as many of the teachers, as many of the university students and other tertiary institutions vaccinated soon. And I want you to know, teachers, that we are going to ask the head teachers and heads of these institutions to be strict, to make sure that no teacher who is not vaccinated is allowed to go to class or to go to school at all. So it may have to get to that, being strict to ensure that everybody is vaccinated. So please don't think that this is just talking. We mean this for your own good, for your own health, for the health of our children. So please know that it is very important that you really get these jabs, because you must even care for your own life. So if you don't get your vaccination and get a vaccination card to inform everybody that you have been indeed vaccinated, you may not be allowed to go to school for the job you need. So please do this. Do this for yourself. Do this for the children you teach. Do this for your own family. We knew that the vaccines in the country are getting to an end now. But I was informed that there is another consignment of vaccines coming in soon, and those vaccines, when they come in, those are the ones which will go to universities, to schools, so that we can have our teachers and students vaccinated. So we are doing our part as a Ministry of Education to mobilize teachers and to mobilize learners to be vaccinated. But at the end of the day, you are the ones who must do the work. You are the ones who must ensure that vaccination is done. So I am counting on you to please do this, because the sooner we can get many of you do this and finish, the sooner we will have educational institutions opened. So I am happy to have given this alarm once again, and will continue to bring out this mobilization even when those vaccines come and the vaccination centers go to schools and to universities. We'll continue to inform you. Please listen to what we are saying and go and get your vaccination.
There you have it. Moving on, the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja pledged to revise religious activities ban if they respect Ministry of Health guidelines against COVID-19. Now, Nabanja was attending an ordination of Our Lady of Fatima Church where 9 deacons and priests were present.
Luwero district has received 2 new priests and 7 deacons following an ordination at Kasana Luwero Diocese. The Ordinary of Kasana Luwero Diocese, Right Reverend Bishop Paul Semogerere, performed the ordination at a scientific event graced by the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja.
Nzuno Sebo tukuwadde omwana waffe ono aweereze Katonda awamu n'ekereziya.
The new priests and deacons were asked to commit their lives to the service of God and spreading the gospel.
That God today gives you the blessing to lead this responsibility well and carry a course to rise with Jesus Christ.
Njagala okusiima bazadde baffe abatuzaalidde abadiakoni n'abafaada, bamaama bataata, mwebale kulyowa mwoyo, mwebale kukuza bulungi baana, Mukama abongere, mwebale kutuwa abaana mu ekereziya.
Bishop Semogerere appreciated the opportunity given to the diocese to conduct the ceremony amidst the COVID-19 scare. The Prime Minister asked the Church to embrace Ministry of Health standard operation procedures and guidelines as government works out modalities of lifting the ban on worshipping publicly.
Naye kati saawa zino kyabuwaze twagala tutaasa embeera tulabe nga tutaasa, kubanga si olwa twafiirwako ne bishop. Obulwadde buno bututeba faala, obulwadde buno bututa abanene.
The Church has always been careful and faithful in observing the SOPs, and we will continue to guide and encourage our faithful to do the same.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni donated 10 million shillings to the Diocese of Luwero. The Prime Minister donated 2.7 million to the freshly ordained priests and deacons. The Minister of State for Higher Education, Dr. Crizesto Muyingo, and Minister of State for Luwero Triangle, Alice Kaboyo, attended the event held in accordance to the set SOP's guidelines. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Luwero District.
Now, relatedly, the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has asked leaders of all faiths to condemn acts of corruption and graft for the country to realize systematic progress. Nabanja was speaking during a holy mass held at the residence of the Dominican sisters in Namugongo. She donated assorted relief items also to the church.
The president is tired of graft and corruption, and he thinks I can do some work. So I need your prayers. Prime Minister's word is final, and that's why I'm not fearing anybody. I have the president who is supporting me. I have your prayers. I know the prayers work, and they make wonders, and I know we shall be over this problem of corruption. So pray for the president. He needs our prayers. The president needs our prayers like I need prayers. Why? Because carrying the cross, this country is not easy. I have been here for 2 months, but I feel like the work is enormous. Meetings after meetings. Are we together? Yes. He needs our prayers, that old man. And I request that you also, in your prayers, please add him.
Members of Parliament, Kanungu district leaders and UNRA officials have inspected the ongoing Rukunjiri Ishaha Chihihi Kanungu Road construction. The members of Parliament, however, criticized the contractors for delaying to complete the 78.5-kilometer road construction on schedule.
The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, who is also the Member of Parliament for Kinkizi East, Dr. Chris Bariomusi, says the contractor of the Rukunjiri Ishasha Kihihi Kanungu Road has delayed to complete the work as scheduled.
We did the groundbreaking in 2018. Now this is 2021, and only 45% of the work has been accomplished, meaning the contractor still has 55% of the work. So there have been delays in the construction of this road.
The minister has been part of the team touring the roadworks on the 78.5-kilometer road stretch. His counterpart of Kinkizi West, James Kaberuka, is equally perturbed by the delays and the seemingly shoddy work.
So, Minister, the complex that is around this area, whatever, Ugahaya or Gawa is our Hamada, whatever Majugari will farm. So they are asking, how can they access? We have a provision for them. Access the work. Yes.
There are sections where we detected work which was not of good quality, and therefore we have asked the contractor and the supervising consultant to address these sections where the quality is not up to the standard.
Bariomusi appealed to UNRA and the contractor of the project to fasten up their speed in order to beat the deadline.
The contractor should work faster without compromising the quality of the works, and in any case complete this road within maybe the next 1 year. We shall not allow further delays because we want this road completed.
An engineer under UNRA, Michael Akankwasa, accepts that there has been a delay on the side of the contractor and some section of stone pitching.
The comfort is that we have not yet approved those sections, so the contractor is already instructed to demolish and replace at his own cost. We shall keep monitoring the quality of the works of the stone pitching.
He says UNRA is doing everything possible to make sure that the contractors up their game as negotiations go on concerning the sections that are pitching.
The other challenge we faced was the collapsing slopes. We have engaged the geotechnical team to assess how to stabilize the slopes, especially the section from Nyamirama moving onwards to Vikurungu. So that team will advise on the best method to stabilize the slopes.
The Rukunjiri Ishasha Kanungu Road was launched in November 2018 and is expected to be complete by March 2022.
With that, let's take a short commercial break and return after these messages. Stay tuned.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
The world record has been broken by almost exactly 2 seconds. He's Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda. This is superb running.
I've shared my story with the world, with you, but you've only seen the half of it. Because to truly know and appreciate my story, you will have to see it for yourself. My home, my Uganda. From the breathtaking waterfalls of the Nile to every beautiful sunrise and sunset. From the amazing blankets of green to the priceless treasures that lie within. Along the way, I have met some unusual friends. The world-famous silverbacks. When I see them, I behold Uganda's treasures. So yes, you see me and celebrate Uganda. I assure you, there is a lot more in store. I have lived here for years, but even I am yet to see its full glory. Join me. Let's take on the Pearl of Africa together.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Be alert. Do not share your Airtel Money PIN number with anyone. Airtel Uganda employees will never ask for your Airtel Money PIN number on call, SMS, or by email. All SIM card registrations, SIM card verifications, or SIM swaps are done at clearly branded Airtel shops and not on phone. To report any fraudulent activity, please call 100 immediately. The official calling number for Airtel promotions is 0200 100 100. Stay alert on Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. It's still the news tonight. We now take you to more news. Mityana Municipality Education Officer Chigundu Maxwell has advised parents to support their children who have just completed Senior 6 attain tertiary education. He pleaded with parents to discourage their children into going for early marriage before they complete their studies. Let's take a look.
Parents have been cautioned against forcing their Senior 6 and Senior 4 leavers into early marriage. Mityana Municipality Education Officer Chigundu Maxwell advised parents to ask their children to join preferred tertiary institutions.
Making them half-baked, it will not do them any good. And I would also encourage those who can't afford universities, at least to take them to tertiary institutions.
Chigundu was visiting various schools who excelled in the just released USAE results in Mityana Municipality. Chigundu commended teachers for promoting science subjects in the municipality. Teachers in private schools appealed for support with apparatus to enable them teach science subjects.
To look at private school as stakeholders in
providing education services, because the services we are providing are services where government has failed, because the government cannot provide schools to everyone as the population is growing. So they should appreciate, they should reduce on taxes.
Institutions for skills and the other issues. Let us not let down our students because some parents believe someone didn't get the number of points I wanted. No, this world is not all about points.
Some of the best candidates who excelled in science subjects said it was by God's providence that they performed well.
This opportunity to encourage the girls, especially the girls, my fellow girls, please read, because we as girls, we face a lot of temptations, but you have to keep on going.
It's also enabled to pay for my school fees, and also the school which enabled me to study for free because it gave me a bursary.
Livestock farmers in Acholi and Lango sub-regions are set to benefit from the embryo transfer technology spearheaded by the National Agricultural Research Organization. Now, dairy farmers will have improved breeds of cows and bulls, mainly the Jersey from Denmark.
The National Agricultural Research Organization, NARO, is undertaking an embryo transfer technology to benefit dairy farmers under the Development Initiative for Northern Uganda project. Under this embryo transfer technology, the eggs are extracted from a cow and semen is also harvested from a bull and then fertilized in a laboratory and after transferred to a cow known as a surrogate mother. The technology is being developed at National Livestock Resources Research Institute, Nachesasa, in Wakiso district.
Yes, we have embryos in here. This one is from Jersey. 178 we have 2, and 182 we have 1. 181 we have 4, and then 1893 we have 3 embryos.
The fertilized eggs can be stored for a period of 5 years in liquid nitrogen.
And this is pure Jersey semen. We can make a single animal get us 12 cows, 60 calves, without necessarily it carrying the pregnancy. So we can multiply seed very fast. Even animals that are dead can still produce because we can harvest their ovaries and then fertilize their oocytes. Even sick animals that cannot carry pregnancies, we can harvest the oocytes and then transfer them to, we make embryos and transfer them to surrogates. And then finally, good animals, pedigree animals, which cannot, or which would be very expensive to transfer and introduce in certain areas, can be transferred by getting oocytes from them, and then we make embryos for transfer.
This technology aims at selecting the desired attributes from a certain breed of cattle, and for this case, the Jersey from Denmark is desired for giving many liters of milk, ranging from 20 to 35 liters. It is resistant to diseases and early maturing.
We are targeting the Jersey. These Jersey animals, we've undertaken studies that actually show that they are adapted to the region. In terms of the feed resource availability, they feed less, yet give you mobility compared to the amount of feed that they actually take in. These improved breeds are also drought tolerant. Remember, the northern region is one of the heat-stressed regions. They have 2 seasons in a year, one long dry season and one long wet season. So these improved breeds easily adapt to the region.
In northern Uganda, the embryo transfer technology will be managed by Ngeta Zonal Agricultural Research and Development Institute.
That when you carry out embryo transfer, the breeds are compatible with the local animals that the farmers have. So the local animals can act as surrogate mothers to give birth to the improved breeds after embryo transfer into these surrogate mothers, which are generally the local breeds.
Although the embryo transfer technology under the Development Initiative for Northern Uganda project is targeting dairy farmers in Acholi and Lango sub-regions, dairy farmers from other areas across the country can access the technology. Diana Kuti, UBC.
Michiana Diocese Bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. James Bukomeko, is not happy with the blood shedding as a result of increased land conflict. Bukomeko was referring to a recent incident in which Chiinda Mitiana Catholic Diocese priest, the Reverend Father Josephat Kasambula, was stabbed and killed. Arua District councillors are stuck after residents of Vura sub-county denied access to a proposed site for Arua District headquarters. Arua District councillors were chased away as they inspected land at Odumi Part, but residents of Arivu want the district headquarters established at Arivu sub-county.
These trees which were planted by our grandfathers.
Arua district is operating without headquarters after failing to get where to build its offices. This follows Arua councillors' disagreements with the Vura County leadership on the ownership of Odumi premises. Adule Simon and Ozia Jackson, who are landlords around Odumi, have a court case against Vura sub-county.
Instituted by government, and government officials must do things in line with the court. Yes, Tilaru here is of my father, which he installed here in 1942-47.
Hey. Now, how did this place become Vura County headquarters?
You know that during those years, the council will only come and enter your land. If you say anything, they will beat you and they will put you in prison. When they came here, my grandfather had grown millet here. And when he asked, they wanted to beat him, so he sided away. There is a court. It's not me to decide, it will be the court to decide.
But according to other locals who preferred anonymity, people claiming ownership of Odumi land are encroachers after the land was given by the community as county headquarters several decades ago. However, people in Arivu sub-county, with some selected from other sub-counties, disagree with the move to have the headquarters at the known county headquarters at Odumi and vice versa. With write-ups on the placards like headquarters or back to the city, and sketch maps showing Arivu sub-county hosting the district headquarters, shows how people from Arivu sub-county disagree with the move to establish Arua district headquarters and vice versa. The four sub-county chairpersons of Arua district stressed that the disagreement is wasting time for service delivery.
Odumi, that one I have no problem. What we need is services should be closer to the people of Vura.
When you look at Arivu sub-county, to start with, Arivu sub-county shares borders with the remaining 3 sub-counties of Vura district, which shows to me that Arivu is centrally located.
Locating district at Odumi, actually, it was not featured at all. All the papers from 2012 up to date.
As a person, I just feel that the issue of the district headquarters should not tear us apart. Whether the district headquarters goes to Arivu, for us as people of Logri, we are saying service delivery is number 1. Even if it comes to Odumi being the county headquarters of Vura County, for us we are welcoming the district headquarters.
Arua district chairman, who spearheaded the inspection, said reports for the 2 sites are already with the permanent secretary in the Ministry for Local Government as council awaits the feedback. Since the inception of the residual Arua district from 2020, which comprise of Vura County alone, people in the district are split over location of the headquarters.
People living with disabilities have been cited as the most affected when it comes to gender-based violence. This has been disclosed by members of the Tunaweza Foundation during a sensitization meeting of persons with disabilities and their caretakers at a gender-based violence shelter in Waise. Now, Naomi Akui said that the people with disabilities were majorly discriminated from getting Emyoga money and are grappling with challenges. Let's take a look at what Sudat Kaye has to say.
With a mandate of mobilizing and helping people with disabilities, Tunaweza Foundation has held a sensitization meeting with people living with disabilities, although they are grappling with challenges. Naomi Akwi, a member of Tunaweza Foundation, says there is need to involve their decision-making abilities.
In this lockdown period, the livelihood of persons with disabilities has been at stake. One, because we are the persons who have small income enterprises that have been shut down completely during this lockdown period. We don't have food to eat now. We don't have shelter. And this has mainly been because of the economic issue. We don't have the same levels of economic empowerment like other people without disabilities have. So I would say economic empowerment for women and girls with disabilities would be key.
Akwi says they are carrying out awareness programs on gender-based violence because women with disabilities have not received awareness against gender-based violence.
And you find that most of the women with disabilities are not even part of those village savings and loan associations. So that has been a challenge because we want to support our women economically, but through village savings and loan associations. And that has been a challenge for us as Tunaweza, finding our women not involved in village savings and loan associations, which are almost in every village, but you find they're dominated by women without disabilities. So that has slowed us down a bit in the way we are supporting our women, and maybe we are still also learning from it, and we are going to do better next time, but that has been one of our biggest challenges.
She appealed to all those discriminating people with disabilities to give them a chance and prove their worth, and advised those with disabilities to come out and show their worth. Akwi says many people with disabilities have been faced with stigma, which is keeping them behind.
Internalization of stigma, that is now when a person with a disability no longer feels like they can be involved. This is because of the negative attitude people have put on you as a person with a disability. And then over and over time again, you start to internalize that and you think that that is actually who you are. So instead of being involved in matters that would change your life, you exclude yourself because of that attitude. You have already internalized it and you've digested it. It has become a part of you. You no longer want to be involved in any activities concerning people with or without disabilities because you think that people don't like you. But
Nachibule Doreen, also a member of the Tunaweza Foundation, said they have tried to identify people with disabilities around the country, although there is still a challenge of finances.
So many have lost their jobs, many have, a lot of cases have come up of gender-based violence due to the issue that they don't even have anywhere to get money, so they feel they have to depend on anyone even if they are harming them. So we have come up today to help these people with some financial support so that they can rebuild their businesses, they can pay their landlords, they can pay rent in their shops, they can start up with the small businesses that they had somewhere so that they are not left there hanging or to beg.
Sudat Kaye, UBC.
In another development, people living with HIV and AIDS in Mbarara have decried the irreversible effect of their bodies that were brought about by the COVID-19 lockdowns. There are some patients who had suppressed their viral loads, but because there was no transport means to their treatment centers, their viral loads rose again. Now some were forced to disclose their statuses in a bid to get food, and they blame all these on government, which they accuse of failure to give them special consideration before imposing the lockdown.
COVID-19 lockdown has had a toll on people living with HIV/AIDS across the country. In Mbarara, patients have decried the reversible effects the lockdown has imposed on their borders.
COVID-19 kuva yatandika first phase yatukola bubi nnyo ffe ababeera n'akawuka ka siriimu kubanga abasinga twalemwa okgenda mu malwaliro okufuna eddagala lyaffe.
65-year-old Ruchamzi John is a retired soldier and a resident of Chianja, Kamukuzi Division, Mbarara City. He has lived with HIV/AIDS for 35 years. Luchamzi, who is currently a porter at a construction site, reportedly got the job after disclosing his HIV/AIDS status to the bosses in order to win their sympathy.
Ekikyali kwewaayo nagamba nti kangezeeko oba omulimu ngufune oba tebagumpa naye nga njogedde kikwata ku bulamu bwange. Singa nabo bwe sikyogera kukwata ku bulamu bwange bali bajja kumpa emirimu ensinza amaanyi osanga ate nga nekyenduubirira sikituuseeko. Nagamba nti kamalirire mugambe ne mugamba nti mbeera n'akawuka ka siriimu.
And then surprisingly when he started working, now he was even one of the most hardworking people on site compared to even the younger boys who are in their 20s, their early 30s. That's what surprised me. That sometimes I would be forced to tell him that Mzee, time is up. Just stop working, prepare yourself and go home.
Before the lockdown, Luchamzi was working as a security guard at a church, but when churches were closed to curtail the spread of COVID-19, he lost his job. This now made his positive living too difficult.
Twesanze nti mu COVID olw'okubulwa ekyokukola n'okubulwa ekyokulya abasinga obungi eddagala balimize bubi. Bw'omira eddagala lino nga tolina ky'olidde, eddagala eryo ligenda ne likayira akamwa konna ne kakaawa n'okala mu kamwa.
Then of course the viral load which you are supposed to suppress because of continuous swallowing of the drugs is now tampered with, and therefore the viral load, instead of reducing, may go up.
Luchamzi is however lucky that his bosses gave him lighter jobs upon noticing his life status.
So sometimes at some I was tempted to even shout at him, like, in case you break your back, in case you get an injury, it's your life. I'm not complaining about the work you're doing. Do whatever you can manage. I have no problem with you.
Luchamzi is among many people who are suffering the effects of COVID-19 lockdown. The recent 42 days of lockdown exacerbated the situation.
So it really made people living with HIV/AIDS, their life very difficult, how to cope. And some had not disclosed. But if you have not disclosed, your husband is there 24/7, your children are here, or you are living with your relative, how will you every day seeing you fidgeting to swallow drugs? So some were forced into forced disclosure.
Some of the HIV patients couldn't access their treatment centers following the ban on inter-district travels.
It would be very important for government that as if we prepare for the third wave, can we have mechanisms for people living with HIV to access their treatment centers?
We are appealing to whoever is concerned, to our MPs, to our leaders, that this AIDS Trust Fund be put in place. Actually, it is in place, but it has not been operationalized.
Makerere University researchers have established that there is need to strengthen noise reduction initiatives. This follows a study funded by Government of Uganda through Makerere University Research and Innovations Fund.
Noise-induced hearing loss ranks among the leading causes of occupational illness among industrial workers and one of the leading causes of impairment and increased years lived with disability. It is for this reason that researchers and innovators at Makerere University recently conducted a study on the prevalence of occupational hearing loss and acceptability of mobile audiometry to access occupational hearing loss among industrial workers in Kampala.
Currently, for screening in Uganda, screening for occupational hearing loss, very few factories are doing it. Just a handful, could be less than 10 factories that actually have a policy for screening all their workers for hearing loss, which is very unfortunate because there are multiple industries cropping up all over the place. Even those that are doing the screening are not doing it as regularly as the current policy for Uganda states. As we move towards scaling up of this application,
please register patent and also secure intellectual property rights so that we protect our work as it's being shared and put into use.
Medics say that hearing loss creates a serious public health concern, an economic challenge since workers are more likely to lose their efficiency and jobs, hence the need for early screening. Pure tone audiometry, which is the gold standard for hearing loss screening, is not readily available in Uganda due to the high cost and operator dependency. However, a mobile phone health innovation, Wadulo app, was developed to address challenges of scaling up the use of pure tone audiometry and also increase access to quality hearing healthcare services for all Ugandans.
App disrupts this space in that it offers even the least trained health workers or even individuals at home the opportunity to carry out screening using their mobile phones or screening for their family members, for their employers, etc. In the palm of their own hands on the mobile phone, and then immediately connect them to specialized audiologists that can provide interventions, guidance on what to do next.
A grant of a total of 74 million Ugandan shillings for this study, which was running over 1 year, and that was to cover the ethical approval process that costs money.
The researchers recommended that there is need to study the cost implications of adopting Wadulo app as a screening tool for hearing loss in Uganda and assess the effectiveness of task shifting to improve access to health screening. Zahara Abigaba, UBC.
Now, to take you back a little bit, Mityana Diocese Bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. James Bukomeko, is not happy with the bloodshedding as a result of increased land conflicts. Bukomeko was referring to a recent incident in which Chinda Mityana Catholic Diocese priest, the Reverend Father Josephat Kasambula, was stabbed to death.
Bishop Dr. James Bukomeko of Mityana Anglican Diocese has appealed for mutual understanding while resolving land conflicts. The bishop says land conflicts have reached the climax, with ensuing bloodletting in some communities because of land disagreements. Bishop Bukomeko says security organs should work hard to avoid the increasing bloodshed within the communities and encourage the police to remain vigilant when punishing those involved in the killings. This follows an incident in which a man stabbed and killed Reverend Father Josephat Kasambula.
Recently, you saw over the television, one Reverend Father was killed when he went to inspect his land. He was killed, and this is very bad, and this is how land matters it's a very big problem, even in this very diocese of Mityana. And we have people who have come and encroached on church land, and getting them out of that land is not easy.
Dr. Bukomeko made the remarks during the scientific prayers at his residence in Namukozi, Mityana Diocese. The bishop appealed to Ugandans to utilize this rainy season and grow quick maturing crops for commercial and domestic consumption.
We go into our gardens to plant crops and also food. Just imagine if we had no money and there was no food, and also there was no rain. But God has given us rain. That is how God works.
The bishop encouraged believers to remain calm and continue praying from their homes in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. He congratulated senior 6 candidates who excelled in the recently released UNEB exam results and advised parents who will not afford to pay tuition at university for their learners to consider vocational institutes. Abdul Nasili Lubwama and Fred Kaswanti for UBC News.
Furthermore, directors and owners of private schools want government to intervene in the plight as schools closure has complicated their livelihoods. The head teacher, Bishop Chihanjire, Secondary School in Bina, Nakawa Division wants government to support private schools with teaching apparatus for skilling students in sciences. This was at a press conference announcing the school's pleasant USCE results.
Most schools have been now teaching online, but in most cases they cannot access this. They don't have the gadgets. You cannot teach them online, and we just have to concentrate on them when they tested all the students. 160 were positive, so we had to isolate them in the hostel that were there, and then we stopped also the teaching for about 1 week because we could not continue with these other students when those ones were in the isolation. Then later, of course, they did the exams, they did their mock. Those other students did the mock from the isolation center places where they were, and they broke off and went for holidays. So it disorganized us a lot, but good enough, it was second term. So they came back for third term. So when they came back for third term, we were able to prepare them properly, giving them all the practicals that were needed in the science subjects, the physics, chemistry, biology, and they were well prepared. And that is why the results came like that.
Yes, now in the world of business, DFCU Bank has announced that it will be paying dividends for the financial year 2020-21 to its shareholders by 9th of September this year. Despite economic disruptions by the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank has managed to sustain business through various interventions that they announced at their 56th annual general meeting. Let's take a look. DFCU Bank has managed to stay afloat while countering various economic shocks during this COVID-19 era. Administrative cost reductions, increased digital access to services and restructuring customer loans, among others, have enabled sustainability, enabling bank shareholders and dividends at the just-ended financial year 2020-21.
We had solid growth in our underlying business, with our net loans and advances to customers growing by 15%, despite a challenging year. We also recorded strong growth in our customer deposit base, which grew by 27% as we harnessed digital capabilities and enhanced the customer experience across our channels and increased our financial strength, as well as seen in the growth in our total assets from 2.9 trillion at the end of 2019 to 3.5 trillion at the end of 2020.
Shareholders have also been advised to update their bank details in order to be paid dividends.
For those, most of them don't receive their dividends because they have not updated their records, including bank details, and would request them to contact our share registrar, Deloitte, or a company secretary, Legal Mark Advocates, or DFCU Limited, or any of our branches.
Dividends, however, reduced drastically from 50 shillings per share to 17.38 shillings per share, a 34.6 reduction to enable the bank sustain business amidst the pandemic effects.
At the time we published the financials, the pandemic was getting a bit low, but by then we went into the second wave, it got worse, and we went into another lockdown. Who knows what's happening? So at the moment, it is preserve what we have.
Also, since being announced a domestic systemically important bank, DFCU was required to retain more capital in its bank reserve to ensure that it does not fail. And this contributed to the decreased dividends for the just-ended financial year. Wadulo, Arnold, UBC News in Kampala. And now in the world of sports, Joshua Cheptegei has continued to illuminate the world with a wonderful performance on the track. The Ugandan maestro was again at his best during the Diamond League in Eugene, Oregon, USA, where he disseminated the field in the 2 miles, and this against his tormentor in the 10,000 meters at the Olympics, Ethiopian Selemon Barega. Cheptegei crossed the line in 8 minutes, 9 seconds, 55 microseconds to ensure Uganda gets something to smile about from the event, in which Jacob Kiplimo finished 4th in the 2-mile race. Peruth Chemtai was 7th in the steeplechase, while Halima Nakai and Winnie Nanyondo were also far off the pace in the respective races. Well, and that does it for the weekend. Thank you for joining us all weekend. This has been the news tonight with me, Wadulo Mark Arnold. Mugalu Muhammad on sign language. Allow me to wish you a lovely week. So please enjoy and always put God first. Good night.
Welcome to the weather report. I hope you had a wonderful Sunday. Now let's have a new one as we prepare for the week ahead. I'm Alitwera Juliet. Today morning we've had showers in most parts of our country, apart from areas in the eastern and the northeastern where we had sunny intervals, and a few areas in southwestern Uganda. Later in the afternoon we had a pickup of showers in most parts of Uganda, and from the rainfall report that received for the